Good evening, everyone. As you know, my name is Corey Honey, and I'm the Sheriff and Coroner of Butte County. As I have stated during my previous press briefings, the information that I'm going to provide you tonight is the best information that I have available at this time. This remains an ongoing and dynamic situation. We continue to get updates. My staff continues to work even beyond the period of time that I get the information I need to provide you with this. So this information may change as we go forward, and I certainly will update you when we can. With regard to evacuation warnings and orders, there are no new evacuation updates issued as of today. I want you to be aware of the fact that we are working very, very diligently to go through these areas, get them ready for re-entry, and make sure that they're safe for people to go in. You see that it's raining outside, and that can be a factor in our ability to go forward, but we are making good progress. I'm going to have Chief Reinbold of the Paradise Police Department come up and talk a little bit about our efforts to make the town of Paradise safe for reentry and some of the plans that we have with regard to moving forward with that process. Moving on to our ongoing effort to locate people who are yet to be accounted for or still unaccounted for. As of today, we have accounted for 2,052 individuals who were previously listed as unaccounted for. That number has increased by 188 over last night. As of tonight, the current list of unaccounted for individuals stands at 563. That number decreased by 307 people from last night. I will tell you again, it's important for you to keep in mind that that's a dynamic list. You may see it go up or down depending on the information we receive during the course of the day and the work that we're able to do. But I'm encouraged by the fact that we're continuing to locate and account for more and more people. The other area of interest and certainly a big focus of what we are currently doing is our effort to search the affected area for human remains. And as of tonight, 2 additional human remains were recovered in the affected area, bringing the total number of fatalities to date to 83. One of those remains was found in a structure in Paradise. The other was found in a structure in Magalia. We're working diligently to identify those individuals so that we can contact their next of kin and notify them. Today I'm going to bring up a representative from Andy Rapid DNA to tell you a little bit about how that process is going. But the information I have at this point is that of the 83 individuals who have been recovered, we have tentative identifications on 58 of them. And those identifications are ultimately awaiting DNA confirmation. That said, it is my sad duty again to tell you about some of the individuals that we have identified. So as of tonight, we have some additional names. The first is Teresa Amons, 82 of Paradise. Next, Richard Brown, 74 of Concow. Third, Maria Wahey, 78 of Concow. Next, Kimber Weir, 53 of Paradise. Joseph Rabatoy, 39 of Paradise. And Joan Tracy, 80 of Paradise. And to the friends and family of those individuals, if I mispronounced their name, I apologize. It was certainly no disrespect. Our thoughts and prayers and condolences certainly go out to you. I read their names because I want to pay honor to them, and I'm doing the best I can in that regard. As you all know, tomorrow is Thanksgiving, and many, many people throughout this country will take tomorrow to certainly give thanks for what they have, and they will take the day off. And certainly members of our community have much to be thankful for, and I appreciate that. That said, however, we still will be pushing forward. We will still be carrying on our mission. And so tomorrow we we'll have 830 people, both law enforcement, search and rescue, as well as volunteer staff out in the field searching for remains. All of those individuals understand the importance of that mission and have decided to continue with the search. In addition to that, we will have 204 law enforcement and National Guards personnel who will be protecting those areas that have been evacuated. The rain is of concern to us, and there is certainly the potential for mud flows. We are watching that closely, and what we will be telling our personnel is to be careful, to be vigilant, and if we get to the point where that creates a hazard, we may have to pull personnel out of those areas and suspend the search in those areas where there is that hazard. But I can assure you that we are going to continue to push forward because this is important work that we're doing, and we want to get that done so that we can recover those remains, and we can also move onto the road to getting people back into their homes, or at least the property where they have. At that point, this is my the conclusion of my briefing, and I'll take questions after the briefing is over.
Good evening. My name is Jim Davis. I am the Chief Federal Officer for Andy. Before I start, I just want to say that I spent 30 years in law enforcement and public safety. I've never seen anything like this. I have been so impressed by the response of the sheriff, his people, and all of the first responders. And I think that they should be very, very proud of what they've done in just horrible, horrible circumstances. So the sheriff asked me to talk a little bit about Andy Rapid DNA technology. Our technology is disruptive technology that will absolutely change the way public safety uses DNA in the future. Historically, DNA has been kind of a mystical thing, certainly for people in my business. It was something that we'd send to the laboratory, and we'd wait months or even years for responses to come back. But the data, the evidence was so good, so reliable, so dispositive, that we were willing to wait for that long for results. Today, Andy technology, Andy Rapid DNA technology, allows us to use that same tool with that same effectiveness and that same accuracy to provide DNA answers in less than 2 hours. Thanks to the leadership of Sheriff Honey, we have had an opportunity here to, for the first time ever, use rapid DNA in a mass casualty incident to help identify human remains. In the response to this fire, we've been able to work side by side with the coroner's office in Sacramento County and collect DNA samples contemporaneously with the autopsy. We've been able to run those samples through our instrument, and in 80% of the cases, we are finding usable, searchable DNA signatures. At the same time, we've been working very closely with Butte County Sheriff's deputies and with Cal DOJ to take reference samples from family members who have loved ones missing. We're able to test those also in 2 hours and provide or forward that information into a database that is searched then against the database that contains the IDs from the remains that we're testing. Matching these two sets of remains allows us to provide a positive identification of victims in a matter of hours. This is technology that can be used across the board in law enforcement. This technology will be able to be used by detectives in processing crime scenes. It'll be used by nurses in ERs who are processing sex assault kits, where we can identify offenders within 2 hours of getting the evidence. It allows us to get people off the street early in their criminal career and cut down on reoffenders and on the incidents of crime. We are very proud to be here with the Butte County Sheriff's Office. We are very proud of the work that we've done, and we are exceptionally proud of how our technology is performed. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Mike Ramsey. I'm the Butte County District Attorney. Here in Butte County, our family and friends are going through just an absolutely devastating time. And the last thing that they need is to have someone that is unscrupulous and immoral taking advantage of them by jacking up prices, i.e. price gouging. We have put together a team within the District Attorney's Office to deal with the price gouging. The first weekend after the fire, sent out investigators to inform all motels, hotels, gas stations, mini marts, to give them information about California's anti-price gouging statutes. People are not allowed to jack up prices more than 10% of what they were before the fires. We have set up a tip line. That tip line is 1-866-DA-FRAUD. We are encouraging folks to call in any instances of price gouging to that tip line, and each of those are being investigated. The bad news is we've had some 60 tips. The good news is most all of those have turned out to be unfounded. That is a testament, I hope, to the good people of Butte County, the good merchants, the good people that are out there and are not taking advantage of their fellow human beings here. There are, however, other scams that people have to be aware of in this time. Rental scams. Rental scams have gone on and off, particularly in Chico, a high rental area for Chico State students, and we have seen people that have no right to a particular apartment that go and rent out that apartment and take people's money. So be very careful. Red flag, if it's too good to be true, it is. Another scam, obviously already starting to happen, is the fraudulent GoFundMe sites and false charity contributions. We encourage folks to go to the Butte County website to take a look at what areas that you can legitimately and safely give your charitable dollars to. Be very careful of phone scams. People that are there making an effort to get your personal information, pretending to be your insurance agent, pretending to be someone that is looking for you for purposes of the sheriff's list. It will be obvious that these are scammers. Be very, very careful of giving any sort of personal information that will be financially disastrous to you. And then, of course, the lowest of the low, the looters. We have been about 11 cases thus far. Interestingly enough, the looters have concentrated on vehicles, motorhomes, other vehicles that were left behind by people that were fleeing for their lives. We have some 3 auto theft cases, and also our very brave officers are up there in the affected area and have taken many, many guns and assault weapons off of people that have been in the areas that they shouldn't be. That's my report for tonight.
Good evening, my name is Lauren Gill. I'm the Paradise Town Manager. My heart goes out to all the victims of the Camp Fire and all those affected. I'm going to talk a little bit about when I know best, my town. I'll give you some information that will also play out to all of the victims of the Camp Fire as well. Tonight you will hear an update on the response and recovery efforts from our county, state, and federal partners. We are working collaboratively to ensure safe and rapid reentry. You will hear more about that next from the Paradise Police Chief. Eric Reinbold. Many people are asking for information, documents. You can get all of this information, services, documents that you need at the Disaster Recovery Center. Please check into the Disaster Recovery Center, register with FEMA, check with your insurance, and also when it's available, sign your right of entry form if you haven't done so at this point. Residents will not be able to view their plot plans or their town-related documents until we get back up into Paradise, and we are working on doing that as soon as we possibly can. We ask that you please be patient with this process. As you will hear shortly, removing hazardous waste from a town, this is not just one site, but from the whole town, is a big job, and it will take a while. Cal OES will address that for you shortly. One of the most pressing concerns that I hear from residents is that people are not getting enough information, and I want to assure you that every piece of information that we have is being passed along through our website at buttecountyrecovers.org, and you can get all of your information and resources there. We're also having these press conferences. We've had community meetings. We send all our information out to the press, so it is on the local news. We put it on our respective Facebook pages, so it is out on social media. We are trying to get the information out there. Remember to check with these sources only, because there's also a lot of rumors going around. You want to make sure that you get the right information. And we are getting that out to you as soon as possible. Just please know that there is an army of people working on our behalf to get us back into our homes. And that includes our representatives. We have Congressman LaMalfa, our state senator, Jim Nelson, our Assemblyman Gallagher. They are all working not only with us as partners, but behind the scenes to make sure that we have the resources and the funding that we need to get back into our homes and reestablish our communities. So thank you very much for that. Again, to get factual, up-to-date information, please go to buttecountyrecovers.org. You will find everything that we have there. And this will be the hub for recovery news for both the town of Paradise and all of the areas in Butte County that were affected. Most residents that I speak to understand the enormity and complexity of the situation. We're dealing with a major environmental cleanup effort and restoration of critical utilities and facilities in an unbelievably unprecedented situation. Our frustration levels will get the better of us some days. Please remain patient as we work together to achieve our goals. We have to be thankful for the little things and celebrate the small successes through this process. And speaking of thankful, we're so happy to announce that there has been a massive effort to plan a big community Thanksgiving. Again, this is for everyone. It's called Thanksgiving Together, so it's for all the friends and family that have been affected by the fire and other members in the community that want to come and join us. It will be a time to share a meal and to spend some time together, share stories, and again, that information is on butterecovers.org. So please get that information and join us. People ask me how I remain so hopeful and strong through this process. I get my strength and my hope from you. I talk to a lot of people that want to get back into Paradise and rebuild as quickly as possible. So when I do get overwhelmed at times during the day, I just think of all the many kindnesses from all the different from all the people that have been helping us through this process. And you know, at this point, I want to give a shout out to the city of Chico, the entire city, and the county of Butte. They are actually carrying us through this process, and we appreciate that so much. So just keep your eye on the future. When you have your moments of grief and doubt, Remember, there's a place in all of our hearts for our town, and soon that dream will be realized. We will build a better, stronger community and an even more beautiful paradise. We will rise from the ashes. We have been indelibly bonded by this experience, and we've been changed. Let's make that change be for the good and for the future of our town. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Eric Reinbold, the Paradise Police Chief. I just want to reassure the citizens of the town of Paradise that the PD is working around the clock with mutual aid resources, answering calls for service, and providing security to our town. We are actively working on a plan for re-entry into the Paradise community, and we're hoping to begin the re-entry in the coming days with a structured plan. Our hope and plan is to try and give residents at least a 24-hour notice that their zone or area will be open for re-entry, and we want to give exclusive access to residents for at least 6 to 8 hours so that you can enter into the area, see your homes, or see what remains where your homes were. The rain and the projected wind over the next coming days pose additional hazards to the affected areas and ultimately raise hazardous and dangerous conditions to the citizens and workers in our community. The reentry timing will be evaluated and determined based on the hazards and the recovery efforts. Thank you for your time, and I'll see the community members tomorrow at the Thanksgiving dinner.
Good evening. My name is Shelby Boston. I'm the Director of the Department of Employment and Social Services here in Butte County. As we begin the recovery process, Butte County, in collaboration with the National Transportation Safety Board, FEMA, Cal OES, and the American Red Cross, will be opening a family support center next week. The purpose of the Family Support Center is to assist the families of the deceased. Once the coroner's office has notified families of their loss, the families will be directed to the Family Support Center. At the Family Support Center, next of kin will be walked through the next steps in handling of their loved ones' affairs. The location will serve impacted families with a variety of services, including funeral arrangements, legal affairs, counseling, and vital records. Families can access the center at more information about the center at ButteCountyRecovers.org in the coming days, as well as ButteCounty.net. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Andy Miller. I am the Public Health Officer for the County of Butte. I'm here to speak to you about a health advisory the Public Health Department issued this afternoon, which strongly urges people against living on destroyed property. People in the fire-affected areas, I understand that you've lost your home, and I understand and support your need to return and visit your home. This advisory will not delay your access to that home and that visit. What we want to do is provide you with the information and the support so that you can visit safely. We extend our deepest sympathy and want you to know that we as a public health department and environmental health department are committed to assuring you have access to the services that will make your property safe and certified for rebuilding. It's been 13 days since the Camp Fire destroyed over 13,000 homes, leaving a path of significant public health and environmental concerns. I strongly urge evacuees to refrain from living on your destroyed properties until your property is clear of hazardous waste and that it's been declared safe by the Butte County Public Health Department. We know from other recent fires in California that homes destroyed by fire contain high and concerning levels of hazardous and carcinogenic materials, including heavy metals like arsenic, lead, mercury, and dioxins, and potentially radioactive materials. Exposure to these materials may lead to acute and chronic health problems. As areas affected by fire are open to visitation, residents will have access to visit properties and collect belongings and mementos that may have survived the fire, but they should not live on those properties. Residents should review the health and safety precaution for reentry packet, which will be distributed at the Disaster Recovery Center and at controlled reentry checkpoints. Butte County is working to secure assistance from state and federal agencies that will ensure proper handling and disposal of debris and ash as a result of the fire at no cost to the property owner. We bring you this information and release this advisory because the health and safety of you, your family, and your neighbors and your entire community are our charge and our top priority. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Eric Lamoureux. I'm with the Governor's Office of Emergency Services, and I'm the senior state official in support of the recovery operation here in Butte County. Our job at Cal OES is to mobilize the resources of the state and federal government to support Butte County and the town of Paradise. And I will tell you that that job has been made phenomenally easier here because of the tremendous dedicated leadership of those officials that are here and the many other officials and staff that aren't here today from Butte County, from the town of Paradise and the city of Chico that have demonstrated phenomenal dedication and a relentless approach to ensuring that your interests are being met. As we move this recovery operation forward, there's going to be many priorities of focus throughout this process, and we have to continually refine the priorities we're focused on day to day. Right now, that priority of effort for Cal OES, our state partners, and FEMA is getting folks registered for disaster assistance, getting folks out of shelters and into other situations that are safer for them than being in our shelter environment, and also working to make the community safe through the removal of debris. To that effort, beginning next week, we're going to be mobilizing the State Department of Toxic Substances Control and the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency to begin removing hazardous waste throughout the entire impacted area. This includes removal of propane tanks, batteries, other obvious chemicals in containers that are found on the property, as well as removing asbestos. This is going to take a period of time. This is going to take probably several months. But at the same time, we're going to begin educating all of you and informing the residents about our second phase, and that's the full debris cleanup, where we're going to be bringing crews forward and, with your permission, removing the remainder of the toxic hazardous ash that's on those properties. Let me be clear that even after US EPA and our partners remove the hazardous waste, that ash is still toxic. That is why, as the public health officer indicated, we don't want people living there. But we're mobilizing our contractors and crews so that as we get your permission, we can begin in parallel to begin cleaning up those properties throughout the community that's been impacted by the fire. Next week, we'll begin that process through town halls, through information on Butte County Recovers, informing you, providing frequently asked questions, answering your questions, giving you the information to decide whether you're going to give us permission to clean your property or you're going to choose to do it yourself. So we look forward to continuing to have the honor of working within this community to help this community recover, and we're committed to serving your community and supporting your community with the utmost professionalism and dedication for many, many months to come. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kevin Hanna. I am the Deputy Federal Coordinating Officer for this event, and I'm also the Senior Federal Official for Butte County, working alongside Cal OES and Eric Lamoureux. Let me give you a couple of quick stats first to make sure that you know where we're at in our FEMA assistance program. For individual assistance, over 15,000 households have been registered with FEMA. $9.2 million is already in those households' hands. Not each and every one of them, because there is something that we have to do, the delivery of service in our assistance. First, we go to insurance. Then there is some initial assistance from FEMA. We then go to the Small Business Administration. If that doesn't work for you or you're not a good fit, you come back to FEMA for additional assistance. Then we look to our non-voluntary agencies, national voluntary agencies, active in disaster, our faith-based organizations, and philanthropic groups to start to make up the rest. FEMA's assistance will not make communities whole, will not make individual households whole. It is that seed money to begin that recovery. But we are going to be here with you through that long haul. Besides the financial assistance that we are providing at our Disaster Recovery Center and there at the Sears, it's open 9 to 7, 7 days a week. It will be open tomorrow on Thanksgiving, 9 to 7, and we have it fully staffed, ready to serve all the residents who need to come in to see additional assistance, whether it's federal assistance through FEMA, the Small Business Administration, the IRS, Postal Service. Housing and Urban Development will be there starting on Monday for questions of them, for those that participate in their programs or have questions. Let me delve real quick on something the district attorney brought up on fraud. You will get a call from FEMA after you have registered to meet with a FEMA inspector. They are contractors, but they are badged. They will meet you at a location of your choice. Once we have full reentry, they tend to like to meet you at your home. But for this event, because of the conditions there, the information that we already have through GIS and other sources, we understand what the damages are. So they will meet you someplace, and the initial thing is to validate you are who you are. You lived where you lived, so we can provide some initial assistance. Our second focus will be to work to depopulate the shelters. We have our Transitional Shelter Assistance Program that is currently in force and active. If you are currently in a shelter or remaining outside by choice, if you register with us, you will get a call it's a robocall that will direct you to a website to register for a hotel anywhere in the state of California. We know there are limited hotels here in the greater Butte County area and in contiguous counties. FEMA, along with state, Cal OES, they are building a base camp for federal, state responders, and we are evacuating those hotel rooms to open up additional free space. We will do this collectively and coordinated together. I encourage each of you to register with us. If you are in a congregate shelter, one of the Red Cross shelters or one of the other shelters, or you are staying outside in these elements, there is a strong possibility that you will qualify for a hotel room, and that tab is on FEMA. Let me finally wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. This is a very difficult time for this community, but it is also a wonderful time. And tomorrow is a day where we can come together as Americans to give thanks for those that have survived and to remember those that we have lost. May God bless you all.
Good evening. My name is Mary Sakuma, and I'm the Deputy Superintendent at Butte County Office of Education. I'd like to begin by extending our deepest sympathy to all victims, and we want to assure our students that you remain in our hearts and on our minds every day as we work hard to prepare to reopen schools. Our focus this past week has been on how to most effectively resume school with matching students with their teachers in their classes and their school setting. We plan to reopen schools countywide on December 3rd, 2018. Our staff, working groups, and teams are forming action plans on all aspects. For example, we are cleaning all the sites that can be reopened to remove smoke and ash and to ensure that each building is safe for the return of students and staff. We're on it. We are close to knowing how and where all students will be attending school. It's complicated to secure facilities that fit our education needs. We are close to announcing that, but please be patient and trust that we're on it. This is the equivalent to setting up a school district in 2 weeks. There are a lot of logistics, and we want to assure you that we're on it. To that effect, I'm pleased to announce that this afternoon, the Golden Feather Union Elementary School District Board of Trustees took action to reopen a vacant school site, and they will be opening Spring Valley Elementary School on time on December 3rd. We're deploying all the necessary resources to support a successful reopening of schools for them. But please remember, this is not just about buildings. It's about the people in these buildings. Our staff, parents, and students have undergone tremendous trauma. We can't just come back to school after Thanksgiving like we used to. We are assembling teams of experts in trauma counseling for both the short-term and the long-term needs. In this disaster, we have victims helping victims, and our adult leaders need all our patience and understanding as they continue to step up and serve our students. They are on it. We will keep our community informed, and we sincerely appreciate all our first responders for keeping our communities from further harm. We owe a deep debt of gratitude to every public servant helping us get through this. Together, we are #Butte Schools Strong. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Josh Bischoff. I'm a battalion chief for CAL FIRE, and I work in the Riverside unit. I'm proud to serve on Incident Management, CAL FIRE Incident Management Team 4 as an Operations Section Chief. I'm going to go over the current numbers, and then I'm going to go over a quick operational update. Currently, as of this evening, we are at 153,336 acres. The fire is currently sitting at 85% contained. For single-family residents, 13,503 destroyed. Total structures destroyed, 18,431. Those numbers are about 90%, our surveys are about 98% complete, and we hope to have the final numbers within the next several days. For an operational update, as of yesterday into this morning, we had minimal fire activity. As of this afternoon, as you know, with the heavy rain, that fire activity is almost nothing. All of our lines are currently holding, and all fire is staying within the primary containment lines that we've established. We did anticipate this rain and have been expecting it based upon the forecasts. Several days ago, we started to aggressively work on fire suppression repair. The fire lines, specifically dozer lines that we use, are necessary to stop the spread of the fire. However, those dozer lines need to be repaired. We've been using hand crews and dozers to repair those lines in anticipation of the rain. I also want to mention that although it is raining and our containment is coming up, we still have strike teams throughout the entire fire area of engines, and those engines specifically are in the areas around structures and in the communities. Those engines are there to provide calls for service in addition to any hazards that they may encounter. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Aviva Braun. I'm a meteorologist with the National Weather Service based out of Cheyenne, Wyoming. I'm here serving as an incident meteorologist with CAL FIRE Incident Management Team 4. Wet conditions continue with about 6 total inches forecast across the burn area, with locally heavier amounts before the end of the rain event on Saturday. A flash flood watch continues through Friday to increase awareness of the potential threat. A watch does not mean that a threat is imminent. If a threat does become imminent, a flash flood warning will be issued by the National Weather Service for the specific area a debris flow is expected to occur. In addition to the rain, winds will increase tomorrow afternoon and continue through the day Friday. A wind advisory has been issued for this event. Thank you.
We'll now open our question and answer session. We'll use the same process we have in the past where we'll welcome up one person at a time, so all questions for that individual will come all at once, and we'll go back through the lineup. So first, we'll have questions for Sheriff Corey Honey.
I'm wondering how many, Andy came up and talked about the DNA technology. How many of the victims have you been able to identify with DNA using that technology?
So, the first 6, I believe, that we identified were with traditional means, fingerprints, dental records, things of that nature. The remainder that we've identified that are with DNA. I don't have that specific number off the top of my head, but we can get that to you.
How confident are you all that you'll be able to identify those that are
Well, we're working diligently to do that. We hold out a high degree of hope that we're going to do that. Ultimately, as I've said, that list of unaccounted individuals is dynamic. It fluctuates back and forth, but we're going to continue to do everything we can to account for everybody on that list, and our efforts will continue well beyond the process of going through and searching the area for remains and ultimately re-entry.
Well, this will be going on for some time, Sheriff.
Say again, please.
This will be going on for some time.
We're not gonna stop. We're gonna do it as long as we have to do it.
Will a list of names, like spelling of the names, as well as the ages and towns of the people you reported dead, be released to the press at any time?
As always, every time I do this, we update our press release every night, and that information will be there.
If you identify someone as deceased that's on the missing list, even if you haven't publicly stated them, do you take them off the list then?
So I think we'd like to characterize it as a list of unaccounted for individuals. And once we have notified the individual next of kin, then they are removed from the list.
Sharon, are you able to speak to claims that the rain has washed away remains at some of these sites?
Where are you getting those claims?
People, so we just want to set the record straight, if you can do that for us.
Well, the rain makes the process of going through the debris left behind by the fire more difficult. That said, I was out there today with the searchers and the anthropologists, and they still believe that they have a high degree of certainty that if it's out there, they're going to find it. Now, that said, you need to understand that what we're looking for here in many respects are very small bone fragments. And so as we go forward, it's certainly possible that not all of them will be located and accounted for. But in terms of them washing away, I'm less concerned about that and just more concerned about the difficulty caused by the mud and things that we have to ultimately deal with. Yeah.
One more.
Let me see if anybody else has got one first, okay? Anybody else? Go ahead.
So as you have mentioned repeatedly, the list of unaccounted for does keep fluctuating. Can you walk us through, on a daily basis, how are you deciding what names go on, what names come off?
Well, and I've spoke to this many, many times, but I'll do it briefly again. That list is basically compiled with 3 data sets. One was the information that was taken by our dispatch during those very early stages when it was hectic, chaotic, and they entered that information into our computer-aided dispatch system. We've gone through mined all of that data, and we've now incorporated in the list, and we've been working to account for those individuals. Secondly, people have emailed our office. They continue to do that, and we put the information from those emails in the list, but as time goes on and we get additional emails, those names are added to the list. Third are the calls that we receive, or if the lines are busy, the messages that are left as a result of those calls. That information is then added to the list. We don't always get in addition to people calling in and talking about individuals who are yet to be accounted for, we also get information about people who have been accounted for, who their loved ones, or they read the list and said, I'm safe. And so we work to add the names that we don't previously have and take off the names of those individuals who's been accounted. That's why it's a dynamic situation. Staff is working throughout the course of the entire day, even into the night, and that's why it's a dynamic list that goes, that fluctuates up and down. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Yes, sir.
If this is a question for you or someone else, I believe it probably be for you, but are there any safety precautions being taken from your officers or any other law enforcement personnel in the wake of the rain and the dangers that may pose in the areas?
Yeah, so that is a good question. We've spoke to all of our staff members about being vigilant and watching for impacts of the rain, both in terms of slick roadways and the potential for mud flows. We'll be watching that closely and getting information from our partners. And if we get into a situation where an area becomes dangerous as a result of the potential mud flow, then we'll address that accordingly. We'll either remove staff from there or make sure that they're aware of it. Beyond that, of course, they have the standard kind of rain gear that they have to wear in inclement weather.
I think you've talked about this in the past about difficulty tracking how many percent of the area being covered. What your estimate would be?
Nope.
Is there any update?
No, I've answered that question many times before about what I'm going to do, and if you ask it to me again tomorrow, my same response is going to be, I will not tell you or hazard a guess as to a percentage because I don't think it's appropriate. Okay?
Thank you.
Good. Any other questions? Very good, thank you.
Do we have any questions for Jim Davis from Andy? No? How about District Attorney Mike Ramsey?
Trevor.
Can you tell us how many people were disarmed in the evacuated areas who were approached by law enforcement, and how many guns were seized?
We seized approximately, I would say, 7 right now. Those were a variety of weapons, including one fully automatic machine gun.
And how many people were disarmed total?
About 8.
Thank you.
Okay, no further questions? Thank you.
Any questions for Lauren Gill? How about Chief Reinbold? Shelby Boston?
Can you remind us their titles when you're saying that?
Shelby Boston is the Director of Employment and Social Services for Butte County. Dr. Andy Miller, County Health Officer. Eric Limerow from OES.
Sir, do you have a sense for an estimate for how much debris overall you'll have to remove?
All I can do is let you know how much we removed last year in 7 counties in the North Bay, Butte, Yuba, and Nevada counties. After the October wildfires, we removed about 2 million tons of debris. Yes, right here.
Will this be the largest single debris removal effort undertaken by your office?
Yes.
I'm not sure if this is best directed for you, but what office or jurisdiction would make the decision to use an alert system like an Amber alert system that goes to everyone to alert about a fire? And has that been something we've used in the past for natural disaster?
Yeah, I'm not really in the best position to speak to that. That'd be a question more for local officials.
Just one clarification. I said earlier that the EPA will start removing hazardous waste next week.
We'll start mobilizing our crews. I think we'll probably begin actual collection around December 2nd, but we'll have crews mobilizing into the area, getting their equipment set up and so forth.
And just to be clear, is it the federal EPA or the state EPA?
It's actually going to be a unified effort with the State Department of Toxic Substances Control and the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. We're bringing in EPA to be a force multiplier. We need as many crews as we can to get through that first phase as quickly as possible. So they'll be working together on that effort. Each department has the same skill set and expertise to be able to get through it as quickly as possible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for Kevin Hanna from Fema? How about Mary Sakuma from Butte County Office of Education?
Actually, I did have one quick one. Have students missed out on any, I know towards this time of year, there's a lot of testing in classrooms. Did they miss out on anything like that? And will that be difficult to catch up? Because Christmas break, I'd imagine, is soon after December 3rd.
So the question was, have students missed out on testing and other educational opportunities while they've been out of school? Of course they've missed out on educational opportunities, and that's why we're working so hard to get our students back in school. I don't have information in front of me to be able to respond to specific testing that might have been missed, but we are working very closely with the California Department of Education to ensure that any waivers that will be needed will be provided so that we can successfully reopen our schools and resume as best we can, again, matching teachers with their students in school sites that are safe and clean. It's difficult for us to respond to the question of how many will be returning on December 3rd. We know that many students and families are out of the area. We're in contact with families to try to get a sense of how many will reopen. And I apologize that I don't have the data in front of me in regard to the specific number of schools, but I encourage you to go to our website, bcoe.org, to look at the details that we are able to provide. Thank you.
Do we have any questions for Josh Bischoff from CAL FIRE? How about Aviva Braun, the meteorologist? Okay. I'd like to remind everybody, we have the www.buttecountyrecovers.org that has information. There's also a link here to go to for updates. Thank you everybody for coming, and if you want to do interviews, feel free.